Are you working for a paycheck? Well, hopefully you are getting paid if you're working, but I'm asking you, are you working only for a paycheck? This is a trap lots of people get into, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this episode.
Welcome to the Licensed to Live show, where professionals, doctors, champions, VIPs, attorneys, and those in public office discover strategies that help you restart and gain what is lost when you find yourself accused. If another has doubted your integrity, questioned your credentials, or caused your actions to come under scrutiny, you are in the right place. On the other hand, if you have never felt the knot in the pit of your stomach when legal papers are served, the heartbreak of disappointing your family when the lock clicks shut on handcuffs, or had to appear before a board of review, then be aware, the longer you serve, the more likely you are to find yourself under the microscope of those who judge. Prepare yourself for this uncomfortable possibility. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jarrett Patton.
On one of my recent TV interviews, the hosts of the show actually continued on with my theme, saying that, well, many of them may be working for a paycheck and only working for a paycheck, not job satisfaction, not other things that you can get from a job that fits you in the first place. They actually were going on to say that, maybe Dr. Jarrett is peering into my soul. Maybe he is right. And maybe I'm sitting here in front of this camera only collecting a paycheck. Meanwhile, other areas of my life are miserable. Well, if you guys want to see the interview, go to drjarrett.com, go to my media page. I have all my recent interviews up there, but it was very interesting concept when I floated that idea that, well, people don't really want a job. They want a paycheck. Yes, we will continue that discussion right after we finish thanking our sponsors.
Something smells good. EH3 coffee. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. Nothing better than waking up. EH3 in your cup. Premium organic. EH3 coffee. Nothing better than in the middle of your day. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. EH3 coffee.
Hey, this is Dr. Jarrett Patton. Do you need more positivity in your life? No matter what part of your life you want to transform, positive affirmations can help you achieve your goals. But sometimes making permanent changes can be difficult. Designed with you in mind, Licensed to Live. Daily affirmations to rebuild your life will inspire and equip you to become the best version of yourself. Licensed to Live. Daily affirmations to rebuild your life will set you on the path to changing your mindset, beliefs, speech, and ultimately your actions. You can change your life now by getting your copy at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your finer book retails, or licensedtolive.com. That's licensedtolive.com.
This is Super Bowl champion Mike Logan, and you are listening to Licensed to Live.
Today's affirmation is right on time. My job brings me financial abundance. My job brings me financial abundance. Yes, well, one of the things your job hopefully provides for you is financial abundance. But the issue is really about, why are you working? Why are you working today? Why are you working only for that paycheck? Well, let's start from the beginning. Well, how much are you getting paid? Really, have you looked at that lately? Have you looked at your salary compared with the industry norms? Have you looked at your salary compared with your local norms? Have you looked at your salary to see if it's keeping up with inflation, which we know inflation is really high right at this moment? So are you getting paid appropriately? Okay, fine. Check that and see what you come up with. However, the real question is your job really worth what you're getting paid? I mean, many of you listeners know about the harms that chronic stress can cause in your life. Chronic stress can cause you amazing difficulties. It shortens your life, leads to cardiac problems, you name it. Chronic stress is additive and cumulative on your life. And think about your job, your particular job. How much stress is it adding to your day every day? Does it weigh you down? Think about the time commitment. Think about how much time you spend at the job and maybe how little time freedom you actually have to do the things that you like to do. Is it worth it? Is it? So start at that framework. Just thinking about, is your job really worth that paycheck that you are getting every 2 weeks? Now, let's talk about how you get trapped into this cycle because, well, you need to get paid in order to do the things that you need to do in life. You got to keep a roof over your head. You might want to pay for a new car. It may be a vacation that you've always wanted to take. Heck, you probably even socking some away for your kids' college degrees. All of these things make the pay worth it to some extent, but is it worth it overall? And when you're going through these situations, you say, well, my job affords me the life that I can afford, which many people tend to afford a life that they can't afford, but they live it anyway. And that causes a whole other problem that, hey, you can listen to some financial podcasts and get that piece of your life straight. However, the pay locks you into an unhappy situation because, well, it's very comfortable to get a paycheck every 2 weeks, right? That's something you can count on, something that you know is coming, and therefore it helps you pay some of the things off that you need to pay, lots of your bills. However, sometimes we get in these jobs and we get locked in because of this financial dependence. And we realize that, well, we're not working this job anymore because we love what we do. We're not working this job because we feel like we make a big impact in someone's life. You're not working this job because it's not even making an impact in your own life. And that is a problem. That's something that you should look at and reevaluate in your stance. But if you are locked into your job only for a paycheck, well, one thing you can do to stop that cycle is recalibrate your finances. And this is a point that I've said on air. This is a point that I've said in my blogs. It is simple fact because sometimes we get so used to the amount of money we earn, we don't even think about the things that are on our list of items that are luxuries because we think they're necessities. So I tell people that if you want to switch to a new job, you want to take on a new career, and perhaps you want to take on a side gig to turn into your main gig, like many of my clients do, you need to start preparing to separate yourself from that paycheck. And the first and easiest thing you can do is recalibrate your finances. Take a look at your list of monthly expenditures. There are some things on it that are negotiable, like maybe even a cable TV bill. And there are some things that are non-negotiable, like your food expense. But your food expense can be brought up in a couple of things. If you're eating out 5 times a week, well, your food expense is going to be much higher than someone that does more cooking at home. And this is not a complicated topic, but it is something that we overlook all too often because we get comfortable in our lives and we may have services for things that are convenient for us. Maybe someone comes and cleans your house. Maybe someone mows your lawn. Maybe someone washes your car for you. Any of these things are very nice things to have, but they can kind of get you hamstrung thinking that that is the only way you can live. So take a look and take some time to recalibrate your finances and go down that list. You're going to find that you are paying for 4 or 5 streaming services and cable TV, and you certainly can spare some expense. And once you start living below the amount of your paycheck, then that paycheck doesn't have so much power over you. You can maybe save some away. You can invest it in yourself and invest for your future. You can save some away for retirement or a rainy day. You can do all of these things, but you have to recalibrate your finances. And that can be tough to do. But that is an exercise I would love for you guys to have if you think you are being hung up only because of this paycheck that you're getting once a month or every 2 weeks or maybe even every week. Once you have gotten this separation and gotten a little bit of financial freedom by just simply recalibrating your finances, then you can look at how you may want to redefine your career, because redefining your career can go any number of different ways. You start with your current job and you say, all right, just like we started off, are you being paid at market rates? Are you being reimbursed for the amount of time you're spending on this job? Your value in the company, is it worth what you're being compensated for? And you may find, especially if you've been in that job for a while, that, you know what, you're probably due a raise. And many people don't ask for that raise because they say, hey, I'm a good worker. I'm a good employee. I'm doing all the things above and beyond that they ask me to. I expect that my bosses will give me a raise because, well, that's a good way of saying job well done. In reality, your bosses are thinking about so many other things. They're not thinking about what you're getting paid until it's budget season, perhaps, but they can actually look at your current salary and you bring some of this information that you found out and said, hey, look, people in my field are getting paid this much. They're getting paid this much in our area. I haven't had a pay increase in a very long time. And you know what? You could actually get one and you could say, you know what? I can continue on in this job at this level simply by making a pay adjustment. But it's not always that easy. And sometimes that money isn't available. Another part of redefining your career may be, well, am I ready to move up in position? Am I ready to move up into a bigger, more responsible position? That, keep in mind, will likely take up more of your time and you will likely get compensated more. So you have to look at that time, money continuum and see if it's worth it. But a lot of my clients, they wanted to come in and simply get something better, a higher title, a bigger position with more responsibilities because they have gained a lot of experience along the way and they are ready for a change, but they're not ready to part with their current employer, which is great. So you find ways to move on up that career ladder. And that is another way that you can kind of redefine your career and redefine your pay. And then thirdly, you may just want to chart your own path and you want to step into those waters and say, I have always loved fishing, for example. And maybe you tie flies for fly fishing and you say, you know what, doing that is good for my mental health. It's good for my soul. And I'm actually pretty talented in it. Maybe I could do this as a profession. And you could start a little side hustle doing some things and playing around with some things. And of course, you actually want to be strategic about it and maybe even ask somebody, how do you start a business, do some research and go on down that pathway. And that is totally okay. But the world is open. Just because you spent years training to do what you're doing today doesn't mean that you can do something completely different. You have built up years of life experience, not only experience in your field and your job, this is experience in life. And when you combine all of these experiences you have, it naturally comes into something bigger. So charting your path could be another way for you to escape. And that's great. So some people take a hybrid approach and they say, hey, I'm going to keep pushing this job right now because it is giving me the financial security. And that financial security helps give you some level of confidence. And it pushes the fear down because, well, what people really fear is what happens if I don't get a paycheck anymore? Now I'm screwed. And yeah, you guys know I've had that point in my life too when, hey, the paycheck was cut off and I had to quickly figure some things out. And you guys know my License to Live story. It was difficult for me to even find any other kind of job going on. So I knew it was at that point I needed to start to do some things on my own and redefine my own career and my own pathway. And if it weren't for that experience, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I mean, heck, a few years ago, I didn't even know what a podcast was. And now we're 100 and some episodes into this thing, and I'm loving it. I love my job. I love what I do. I love helping people. I love speaking on stages. I love giving media interviews. I am doing the things that I love to do because I decided to chart my own path. And it's not to say I didn't, and I simply just knew what I wanted to do right away and started going for it. But I actually got some help along the way, and I continue to get help today. I mean, just because I'm a coach, don't think that I'm not investing in coaching myself. And I'll get a leadership coach, or I'll get a speaking coach, or a media coach, or even a business coach. And I have all of these people and still work with many of them today. And that's one of the things that you have to decide to do in your own life. You have to say, am I being held hostage by this paycheck? Or is there something else out there for me? And a lot of times we're too afraid to even look. It doesn't mean you have to jump. If you can control your circumstances and situation, then control it. Have some fun and take a methodological approach in getting this done. And take some baby steps if you need to. I mean, if you're getting paid every 2 weeks, then you do have some time, and you can make those changes incrementally that can ultimately lead to the time freedom, the financial freedom, and the life freedom that you're looking for. So keep all of those tips in mind as we go through. Remember, fire starters, if you or anyone you know has been dissed, please invite them to join us along this journey. Simply go to your favorite podcast player and subscribe to Licensed to Live. And while you're there, give me some feedback. Give me more topics. Let me know the things that you want to hear about, so I make sure I bring you the most up-to-date information about career challenges and life changes. And as you know, I am hanging out on LinkedIn all the time in between episodes. So make sure to check me out there, or all social media at Dr. Jarrett. See you next time.
No matter how disheartening the moment of accusation sounds, how deep the pain of immobilization stabs, or how bleak your future looks, no one can take away your license to live. Keep Dr. Jarrett's expertise handy and unlock your future. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or another podcast player and subscribe right now to Licensed to Live. See you next time.